Hey YouTube, this is Archangel for Truth, and tonight I'd like to wish everybody a very happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. But is it really? Right now, as we speak, there's approximately 2,000,019 people behind bars. We have, to date, millions of different ways that the government and the states can regulate our freedom. And with these all things, our rights and our freedoms being threatened on a daily basis. And let us not forget law enforcement as part of that police state. So can we really say we have that independence? I mean, yes, we throw up the fireworks up in the air and they're beautiful to look at. And perhaps more so than other places is our freedom there. But is it to the extent that the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution spoke about? Clearly it is not. For the government has far exceeded its limits within the Constitution, and certainly far exceeded the limits that were penned by the founders when they penned the Declaration of Independence. So I thought, what better way to memorialize tonight than to read the Declaration of Independence to simply remind us of what it was that they fought and for what it was they stood for. Because it seems today in these generations, people have forgotten the freedoms, the sovereignty, and the rights that we all have. And it's good to remember these things as well. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read the Declaration of Independence. And if you like the Declaration of Independence, if you believe in freedom and rights and individual sovereignty and independence of the individual, then please hit that like button. If you don't like freedom or rights or whatever, I don't know why you're on my channel. But, that's what I am all about, is people's rights and freedoms and a limited capacity for the government, and not one where the government is there to regulate our lives, but rather there for the original purpose of protecting our rights. That is what they were established for, and that is exactly what the framers said. So with that being said, let me begin by reading the Declaration of Independence. July 4th, 1776. The unanimous Declaration of the 13th United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station of which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impelled them to that separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers by the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evince a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is the right, no, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient suffrage of the colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having indirect object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodations of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish their right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of the public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with many firmnesses his invasions on the rights of the people. We therefore, the representatives of the United States in General Congress, assemble appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, due in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. With that, I did shorten the declaration, talking about all the things that the King of England was doing, because, well, if anyone wanted to go over those things, you're free and able to do so. Ultimately, here's the deal, folks. Our government is far exceeding the Declaration of Independence, the intent that it was written for, and it certainly has far exceeded the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. We need to rein in the government back to a constitutional republic where individual sovereignty is understood and recognized, and it is not considered a threat to national security. And hopefully, if we all will stand as we do, think of the fact that tonight, because of the amount of people who are able and willing to put out fireworks and celebrate the 4th, they cannot contain, despite the regulations to deny people to be able to celebrate the 4th with fireworks and shoot their guns and so forth. They cannot contain it. Now, if the people could only apply such power in other ways, in ways when the government has denied us our ability to be free and for our ability to stand on our rights, we need to stand together. We need to ultimately, for the sake of freedom and rights, to stand for those things that ultimately are going to benefit us all. And so that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. And with that being said, I wish everybody a safe holiday, and stand for what you believe in, for freedom and for rights, and for our own posterity, and certainly for the generations to come. Let us keep in mind also those people that are even now fighting for their own independence, people that are in Afghanistan, people in Ukraine, and people in Taiwan, fighting against the tyrants that are using death and tyranny and terrorism to prevent them being free as well. When one of us is being held captive, we are all being held captive. Because if they could do it to one, they can also do it to you. As we say, back the blue till it happens to you. Well, there you go. Just remember, if you do nothing, it will not get better. God bless you all, and take care.